Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. This time, though, we're doing something a little different. We're using a film, Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men, as a case study to see what a state looks like when it's governing through a permanent, unending crisis. So, the movie's big idea is global human infertility, right? But for us, that's not just a plot point. We're going to treat it as a working model of a political system that has completely lost any sense of a long-term future. The question here isn't just about what the characters do. It's about what this system does when tomorrow, literally, is gone. And this is absolutely the most important thing to get. The world in Children of Men hasn't just fallen into some kind of Mad Max-style anarchy. No. A new, and honestly really stable system has taken its place. It's a blueprint for governance without futurity, a world where our institutions stop solving problems and instead their only job is to manage the decline.
So what's the logic holding this whole thing together? Well, it's pretty simple and pretty grim. When the future disappears, power doesn't just evaporate, it changes shape. It reorganizes itself around three things: containment, security, and probably most important of all, the management of despair.
And if you want to see that logic in action, look no further than this. The government is handing out quietus kits. Now, this isn't a sign that the government has failed. From the system's point of view, it's a success. The state is providing a clean, rational, almost helpful service for ending your life because it has totally given up on the idea of improving it. Let's actually give this a name. We can call it despair management. It's what a system does when it stops even trying to fix the root cause of everyone's suffering. Instead, it just builds an institution around offering an exit. It provides services not for hope, but to make that slow, inevitable decline just a little more orderly, a little more comfortable. Okay, so how does a system like this actually work day in and day out? Let's dig into the first key pattern we see, and that is how a constant state of crisis becomes the new normal, the default way of governing. You know, there's a term for this from the philosopher Giorgio Agamben. He called it the state of exception. The idea is pretty straightforward. A government declares a temporary emergency, to deal with a crisis. It suspends rights and laws. But then, it never gives them back. The emergency footing becomes permanent. It becomes a standard tool of government, which lets the state wage what is basically a legal civil war against its own people. And we see this everywhere in the film. Just think about a normal day in London. There's this constant presence of militarized police. Checkpoints are just a part of your commute, and propaganda is yelling at you from every screen. Remember that cafe bombing in the first few minutes of the movie? People are stunned for a second, and then they just move on. They get coffee. It shows you a world where security has completely swallowed civic life. Emergency isn't an event anymore. It's just background noise. So that brings us to our second pattern. How does this system handle people it doesn't need anymore? What does it do with the population it considers, disposable? The sociologist Zygmunt Bauman had a name for this. He called it a surplus population. And these aren't just people who are unemployed. No, they are structurally produced as human waste by a system that has zero use for them anymore. So containing them, locking them away, that's not the system failing. It's the system working exactly as designed. It's an administrative solution. And you see this with such chilling clarity in how the film treats refugees. First, they're dehumanized with this label, Fugees. Then, they're stripped of their identities, their pasts, and just warehoused in camps like Bexhill. Again, this isn't chaos. This is the perfectly logical result of a system built on containment. I mean, just look at the design of the Bexhill camp. It's all cages and fences and narrow corridors, all just to channel bodies from one place to another. The uniforms are there to erase any hint of individuality. And the cruelty, it's not personal, it's not angry, it's just administrative, it's procedure. The entire place is optimized not to help anyone, but to manage and hide a group of people that the system has decided to throw away. So, if the future is gone, and a huge chunk of the population is disposable, what's left for culture? For art? Well, that leads us to our third pattern. The way art and history are used as a kind of sedative for the whole society. This comparison tells the whole story, doesn't it? In the scene at the Arc of the Arts, you have priceless masterpieces like Picasso's Guernica and Michelangelo's David being perfectly preserved. They're safe. But right outside those walls, human beings are being caged and discarded. It's the system's values laid bare. Artifacts are sacred, but people are not.
And look, this isn't just about rich people enjoying nice things. It's a systemic coping mechanism. When a society can't create a future, it can't make new meaning. So what does it do? It turns itself into a kind of living mausoleum. Meaning isn't lived anymore. It's archived. It's put behind glass. Culture becomes this powerful sedative, a shot of nostalgia to make you forget that there's no real hope for renewal.
All right, let's pull all these pieces together. When you look at all these patterns, what is the final shape of collapse that Children of Men is really showing us?
The single idea, the one metaphor that ties it all together, is this. It's a system that has lost its horizon. This is what governance looks like when it's stuck in a permanent maintenance mode, just trying to keep the lights on, with absolutely no destination in sight.
So the real insight from Children of Men is that collapse doesn't always have to be a big, loud explosion. Often, it's a quiet, administrative adaptation. Systems are shockingly resilient. They can actually learn to stabilize themselves around despair instead of trying to fix what's causing it. Collapse, it turns out, can be very well managed.
And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. The film seems to suggest that the real danger isn't the chaos of collapse, but the quiet efficiency of well-managed despair. So if collapse can be a stable, ongoing administrative process, what does that help us see when we look at the world around us today? For the full, long-form deep dive into this topic and its ideas, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with films, books, or topics you'd like us to explore next.